Last week, almost no one was talking about Virgin Galactic. The company had spent years disappointing investors. Its stock has collapsed from previous highs, the business wasn't profitable, and many traders have already moved on to the next big thing. But then something strange happened. Space stock exploded. In just a few days, Virgin Galactic shares surged from under $4 to over $8 per share. Trading volume skyrocketed, social media lit up, and retail investors, well, they piled in. And for a brief moment, it looked like Wall Street's biggest underdog was finally making a comeback. But then, it all started falling apart. Within literal days, the stock crashed back down to under $5 per share. And as investors were trying to figure out what happened, a bizarre story started spreading online. Were people accidentally buying Virgin Galactic because they actually wanted SpaceX? It sounds ridiculous, but the real story, it's actually way more interesting. Because what happened to space over the last week actually reveals something much bigger. It reveals how modern markets work, how hype spreads, how narratives move billions of dollars, and why investors keep falling in love with the future. Let's break it down. To understand why space suddenly exploded, we need to understand where Virgin Galactic was before the rally. And honestly, the company wasn't in a great place. Virgin Galactic was founded with one of the most ambitious ideas in modern business: commercial space tourism. Not astronauts, not government missions, not satellites, tourists. The goal was simple: take paying customers to the edge of space. Let them experience weightlessness. Give them a view of Earth that only a handful of humans have ever seen. Then bring them safely home. It sounds incredible, and that's exactly why investors fell in love with the company. When Virgin Galactic first went public, people weren't buying a business. They were buying a dream. A future where space travel becomes the next aviation industry. A future where going to space was no longer reserved for astronauts and billionaires. For a while, that dream made Virgin Galactic one of the market's most exciting stocks. But then, reality showed up. Flights were delayed, costs increased, timelines slipped, revenue remained small, and profitability stayed far out of reach. What was once one of Wall Street's hottest growth stories became one of its biggest disappointments. By the end of last week, most investors weren't paying attention anymore. Then, space suddenly doubled. Now here's where things get interesting. Because the rally wasn't just about Virgin Galactic, it was also about a company you can't even buy: SpaceX. SpaceX has become one of the most valuable private companies in the world. It launches rockets, builds satellites, carries astronauts, and dominates headlines whenever Elon Musk announces something new. But despite all that success, ordinary investors can't buy SpaceX stock yet. The company remains private until the middle of June. And that's where the story begins. Every time excitement around SpaceX increases, investors start looking for alternatives. Publicly traded companies connected to space. Companies they can actually buy. And sitting right there on the stock market is Virgin Galactic, trading under the ticker SPACE, one of the most recognizable names in the commercial space industry, one of the easiest space-related stocks for retail investors to access. Now let's be clear, there's no evidence that investors literally thought they were buying SpaceX, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is that when excitement around space returned, money needed to go somewhere, and space became one of the biggest beneficiaries. Now the rally didn't happen because of one headline. It happened because multiple factors arrived at the same time. Virgin Galactic continued making progress towards its Delta-class spacecraft program. Management remained committed to future commercial operations. Certain legal uncertainties appeared to be moving towards resolution. Meanwhile, excitement around the broader space industry was growing. Individually, none of these developments were enough to explain a move from under $4 to more than $8. But together, they created the perfect environment for speculation. And speculation is incredibly powerful, because once a stock starts moving, people notice. Traders post screenshots, influencers start talking about it, financial media picks it up, and the chart becomes the story. The story attracts more buyers, which pushes the chart even higher. That's exactly what happened to space. Hey guys, Studio Deals here, just to tell you about this video sponsor, Weekly. Weekly is a day planner, a task manager, your personal assistant, anything that you could want, Weekly's got it. Weekly is essentially like Notion, except when you open it, it doesn't overwhelm you and give you a tiny panic attack. You can plan out your tasks, you can chat to the AI chatbot, you can do your budgeting, you can manage your investments, And with the latest feature, you can even listen to relaxing lo-fi music while you do your work. Go to myweekly.co.za and use our code CAPITALINSIDER for 15% off. Their subscriptions start at $5 per month, which is literally 20% of what you'd be paying for Notion, and it essentially does everything Notion already does. Check them out, and thank you Weekly for supporting the channel. Now back to the video. The rally became self-reinforcing. The stock was going up because people were buying it, and people were buying it because it was going up. Then came the hard part. Investors started asking questions, the same questions they had been asking for years. Had Virgin Galactic suddenly become profitable? No. Had commercial space tourism suddenly become a proven industry? No. Had the company solved the execution challenges that caused so many delays in the first place? Not yet. The narrative changed. The fundamentals hadn't changed nearly as much, and that's when momentum began to fade. Traders started taking profits, speculation cooled, the rally lost steam, and the stock started falling fast. Within days, space had given back a large portion of its gains. The same momentum that drove the rally was now driving the sell-off. It was a textbook example of how quickly sentiment can change in speculative markets. Is Virgin Galactic actually a good business? This is where the story gets more complicated. Just because the stock fell doesn't mean the company is doomed. Virgin Galactic is still a legitimate opportunity. The company's future depends heavily on its next generation Delta spacecraft. Management believes these vehicles will dramatically increase flight frequency and improve operating efficiency. If they're right, Virgin Galactic could eventually become the leading name in commercial space tourism. And if commercial space tourism becomes a real industry, the upside could be massive. But that's a very big if, because investors have been hearing versions of this story for years. The company remains unprofitable, it continues to burn cash, and its future still depends on proving something that has never been proven before. Can space tourism become a profitable business? Nobody knows. That's why the stock still remains so controversial. So why did Virgin Galactic stock suddenly explode? The answer isn't one thing. It was a combination of renewed excitement around space stocks, improving sentiment around the company, momentum trading, and growing interest in SpaceX. Did investors accidentally buy the wrong stock? Probably not. But Virgin Galactic clearly benefited from becoming one of the easiest ways for retail investors to bet on the future of space. The biggest lesson isn't really about Virgin Galactic. It's about how narratives move markets. A compelling story can send a stock soaring, but eventually every story runs into the same question. Can the business deliver? For Virgin Galactic, that's still the question investors are trying to answer. And based on last week's rollercoaster ride, the market still isn't sure. Thanks for watching this video. What stock should we cover next? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're there, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and as always, happy investing.